This is a free sample of the book How to Talk to 9's and 10's by Cairo Copeland. The first half of the book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest of it, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/talk. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/talk. Chapter 1. Effortlessly start a conversation with any woman you want. Where many guys struggle is with the all-important opener. They worry that this is what will make them or break them. In reality, much of this worry is needless. It exists in part because you don't talk to strangers regularly, let alone 9's and 10's, so of course it's going to feel like there's a lot of pressure on the first few words. Most guys want to go with an indirect one, particularly when they are first starting out. And this is because you haven't had enough experience talking to women yet to confidently talk to them about what you want from them. While I'm a huge proponent of being direct, I completely understand why you want to be indirect at first and will help you with that first. An indirect opener works best when she's alone, especially in the daytime. I would advise against using indirect openers at night venues because most women that go out at night know and expect to be hit on. So if you don't bluntly hit on them, they'll think you're not confident enough for them. But the beauty of daytime allure is that the women you approach and talk to will be alone, so there is no one in your way. Unlike nighttime venues where she's usually there with friends or other people that can get in your way, you have her all to yourself during the day. Not to mention, there's no loud music to prevent you from hearing each other. Systematically, what you're attempting to do is drop an opener to see if they're even worth the effort of chatting up. Next, you continue to carry the conversation where you subtly make yourself appear interesting, but not in a bragging, cocky way. Finally, you hope to personalize the interaction and go 3 levels deeper to leave a favorable impression with her. What I want you to deduce from that is that the opener only serves as an icebreaker to get a conversation started. Nothing more. Do not be like most guys who will put far too much importance and stress on themselves over it. All it needs to do is get a conversation going, even if it starts out talking about the stupidest things. I learned this approach by watching it get done on me by a guy at my gym. I had my earbuds in, I was seated at the machine and going at it, plus my face gave off a pretty intense look that I should not be disturbed. But one guy, probably the same age as me, decided to go for it anyway. He waved to get my attention while I was at rest between sets. I took one of my earbuds out and went, "Huh? Where did you get those cool shoelaces?" he asked. What he was referring to was the fact that the laces in the shoes I had on were no-tie shoelaces. So I didn't have to worry about ever potentially tripping on my own shoestrings while on a treadmill or in the middle of a heavy lift. With these no-tie laces, I'd never get them caught in a machine either. Before I realized what was happening, I responded to him and continued chatting with him in a friendly manner. We went on for about 15 minutes before going back to our workouts. Here's what's interesting about that. Despite how absorbed in my world I was, I put it all on hold the moment I realized the guy was interjecting for an innocent and acceptable reason. He wasn't trying to sell me something or bother me. He legitimately wanted to know about something I had that he considered valuable, so I humored him. Then it clicked. If I'd do that for another person, would a woman also do that for me? If so, this would be a great way to start approaching women. Also, a great tactic I could pass along to my clients as a dating coach. My usual spots for approaching random women is the beach. It has my 2 favorite tropes of women: lifeguards and surfer girls. I've always wanted to talk to them, but I'm a huge believer in not bothering people when they're busy. And these 2 types are often busy. I sure don't like it when someone interrupts me, even in a parking lot on the way to my car, to sign a stupid petition or something dumb like that. But having nothing to lose, a mindset you need to adopt because you really do have nothing to lose with a total stranger, I was ready to give it a shot. The first hot surfer chick I saw on the beach that day was just getting out of the water and going back to her beach towel. I went up and asked her, "Pardon me, but is that a good surfboard?" "Are you talking to me?" she said. "Yeah, you. Oh, well, yeah, I guess it is. What's the brand? I'm in the market for a new one, but haven't bought one in years, so I don't know what the good ones are currently. It's Soft Tech. I'd say it's pretty good. I've had it for at least 5 years. 5 years? Been surfing that long? Or, longer? Oh, much longer. I started when I was 15, and have been doing it ever since. But actually, I had to get back into it within the last 5 years because I couldn't do it for a few months when I had an accident. Boom. Conversation started. We talked about all sorts of things for at least a good 30 minutes, which was far longer than I expected it to go. While I didn't get a number or anything from that interaction, I did from my next one, now that I knew what I was doing would work. With the next one, I learned how long she'd been surfing, how she got into it, why she does it, and what days she comes out to do it. Even got invited to join her. Don't set those outcomes as your goals for the opener, though. All that matters is that it gives you a way to continue a conversation. Now, going back to that one guy at the gym, there are some circumstances in which I would have ignored him. Like if I was having a rough day, I'd probably pretend not to hear or see him. But when I'm that deep into my zone, there's no opener in the world that will work on me. The same can be said of the women you use it on. If they're really deep into what they're doing, the opener will not work. Do not get the wrong idea from this. It doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you, nor does it mean there was anything wrong with your opener. They just weren't in the mood for talking to another person. That's the only precondition when flirting with 9's and 10's during the day. She must be open to talking to another person. Doesn't matter if it's a hot guy or an old geezer. If she's not in the mood to talk in general, both would get blown off. That being said, don't think that she must be friendly from the start for you to make progress talking to her. As long as she's holding eye contact and saying something in return, she's in a talking mood. But don't take this as a sure sign that you're in with her. Just because she's responding to you, it does not mean she's immediately interested either. All it's meant to do is show her that you're a normal human being capable of having an innocent conversation about something. It's to tell her that you're not a homeless bum looking for a handout or a social justice warrior trying to get petition signatures. You only need to convey the message of, hey, I'm not a creep. You can talk to me. Don't be afraid. I like to call this the innocent opener. You ask her about an object pretending to be totally ignorant about it, just to see if she's a social person that you can carry a conversation with, but you're totally innocent with plausible deniability as to why you're talking to her. Here are some situations that I've used it in. There was a woman in the parking lot that I wanted to talk to, so I went up to her and said, hey, pardon me, but how do you like your car? I'm considering that make and model. A woman on a college campus was typing on her computer, and I went up to her and said, pardon me, but how do you like your computer? I'm looking for a new one. A woman was waiting outside the store, just standing by herself. I went up to her and said, pardon me, but are those good sunglasses? They sure look good. A woman with tattoos in a checkout line. I said to her, pardon me, but I really like your tattoos. Is the artist that did them in this area? A woman in the produce section of a grocery store just looked at what was in her cart there, and I said, pardon me, but those tomatoes, have you gotten them before? Do they last long? A woman in the waiting room at the doctor's office playing on her phone. Pardon me, is that a good phone? And a hot lifeguard on the beach. Pardon me, but are these waters safe? I'm scared to death of sharks. They all seemed like silly ways to start a conversation. Only an innocent fool would ask these questions and have no shame about showing another person how ignorant they were to ask, which is a key element. But it got the job done. See if she's up for talking to another human being. A woman is more open to talk to a stranger about non-personal things, such as items and objects, than they are to right away start talking about very personal things. When I saw the woman typing on her laptop at the college campus, I didn't ask her, pardon me, what are you writing about? What she's typing out is personal in nature, but asking if it was a good laptop was barely asking much. Also, the more genuine you seem about not knowing much about the object being discussed, like a real ignorant but innocent person, the more likely they are to respond to you. Most people are good-natured and happy to help others, especially women. And they love to talk too, so here's their chance to do both. Once you get a response, if it's just a one-word answer, try again. Ask more about whatever the subject is. The idea is to act like an inquisitive old fart, because old farts are always welcome or always seen as safe to converse with, and they always ask about stuff like this. If it's a car, you say you're in the market for a new car because your career change will require it. This is to segue into talking about more personal things. if she has any interest in you, then she'll ask about it. However, it is a great mistake to plan out the entire conversation before you make your approach because it guarantees you'll sound canned and unnatural. People can tell when you've scripted out things you say versus when you speak from off the top of your head. On talk radio and podcasts, you can notice a stark difference between when a host is speaking from their heart versus when they're reading a script, particularly for a sponsor's advertisement. This also serves as a screening tool. You don't want to be wasting your time with women who are unavailable, like ones in relationships or married. You also don't want to waste time with a woman who's not in a social mood. Women in these circumstances will likely not be open to having a conversation about anything with a man all by himself. The way to think about this is, if another guy tried to come talk to you, which is someone you have no sexual interest in, and you were in the mood to humor him, you'd certainly have no problem with a woman you find attractive doing the same thing. Similarly, a woman would not have a problem with an innocent talk with a non-threatening guy. If she's not open to this, then you know she's not open to meeting someone new. Thus, you won't waste time nor try hard enough to get burned bad. The only other way to tell if she's open is if she looks at you and makes direct eye contact. Maybe smiles too. But come on, how often does this happen in real life? You will want to refrain from making aggressive eye contact with her before attempting to open her. It takes the believability and innocence out of the opener. Remember that during the day, a woman does not expect to be approached. That's the reason to go indirect. She might have initial doubts about whether you're addressing her or not. She might ignore you at first and respond with what or huh? Now don't worry about these responses. In fact, expect them. But what you can do to prevent them is to speak audibly enough to be heard and also say, "Pardon me." Speaking loud enough to be heard in the distance between you and her will help tremendously. It gives her a reason to ignore the jitters you may have early on and are leaking out in your body language. These things are so easily noticed if you're speaking softly. So make sure you look her right in the eyes and raise the volume of your voice. You're not yelling at her, but speaking powerfully. Many guys speak quietly because they fear that other people are watching them and judging them. The best way to conquer this fear is to pretend that everyone that could be watching already thinks you're the biggest loser and dipshit with the smallest dick alive. They've already laughed their heads off at you. They've watched YouTube videos making fun of your approaches, and there is literally nothing to gain or lose with them. But the good news is that reality is never like the worst case movies we play in our minds. Breaking free from this phobia of social judgment will help you in all areas of your life. Plus, it will make you more confident and proud of yourself as a man going up to talk to women in a situation that most guys would be too afraid to even try. I say to use pardon me because it's better than excuse me. You say excuse me when you fart, but pardon is proper and sophisticated, but not stiff-necked. That's I beg your pardon. You don't want to use that. It serves as a social softener to let her know that you're not out to offend her. Without this, she may think you're talking on the phone with a Bluetooth. This also commits your mind to conversation mode because it immediately acknowledges the other person rather than expressing some random shit like, "God, it's hot out," or "Damn, it's crowded." Saying shit like this is hoping she'll do the work for you. Newsflash, she won't. But pardon me means you go in head first and commit yourself to going through with it. Be polite but not apologizing. Don't say, "I'm sorry for interrupting," or "Pardon me for interrupting." You're only interrupting if you say you are. Don't ask permission either. Avoid phrases like, "Are you busy? Can I ask you something?" Once you say "pardon me," go right into the opener. Since you are asking a question you don't really need an answer for, you want to make it believable that you are looking for it. When people ask for help or opinions, they don't have big stupid grins on the face. If you have a cheesy grin while you do it, she'll think you're a serial killer. The reason you'd smile is if you're being sarcastic or joking or not being genuine. Don't show a smile to her unless she shows you one first. Stay on the subject for the opener for a good 2 or 3 minutes, a believable amount of time. Asking her where she's from 30 seconds later from the opening kills all believability. It's best to use a slow pace of speech with a flat tone, maybe even a baritone. Do not stress any words in the opener because that only makes it look like you're auditioning for a Broadway show. You should stay flat until she varies her own tone. Do not worry about being flawless and having well-rehearsed, long conversational contributions at the tip of your tongue. This gels Women that you've rehearsed all this because you're out on the prowl, looking for easy broads to fall for your routines. It's all right not to have an immediate answer to a question she asks, or even go blank in some instances. Proxemics of the interaction are important, and that means keep your distance from her at least 4 feet away. One mistake most guys make is standing too close, like 2 feet away, and speak like they're trying to talk in her ear. This might be the right thing to do in a nightclub with blasting music, but it's the wrong thing to do during a daytime setting. When you stand farther away, you're also giving yourself a chance to gauge her interest in you. One good thing to look for is if she takes a step closer to you. That is her subtle way of showing interest to you and conveying the idea that she does want to talk to you. You will also want to refrain from high energy movements that make her question you. She'll wonder why you're so worked up just to ask a simple question. The more relaxed and chill you are, the more receptive and relaxed she will be. Personally, I would not attempt this on women that are not by themselves. When a woman is out with her friends, she worries more about what her friends think. She worries more about what her friends think of her than missing out on an opportunity with even a guy that she does like. She doesn't want her friends to think that she's easy and will flirt with any guy anywhere. It's a 50-50 chance that she's open. The only way to know is to give it a shot. There are contextual variables that play into whether she's receptive to you, and they should be thought of as the only reasons you were or were not successful. Some of these variables are how attractive she thinks you are and what type of man she would categorize you as. For example, we all know that women have their types. They categorize men accordingly. There are the badass bikers, the starving artists, the clean corporate guy, the gym rat, etc. If they put you into a certain category that's not her type, which she may not even accurately do, she just won't be open. It doesn't matter. Maybe she did find your type to be acceptable, but didn't consider you to pass her minimum attractive standard. These are things you just can't control. Life is simply not fair. And I bring these up not to give you a fatalist mindset, but to show you that quite often, rejections have nothing to do with you. You can have some influence on overcoming these contextual variables with your focus on the fundamentals of learning. Your style also affects her receptiveness. How you dress matters. Even if you're dressed to kill, she won't go for it if she's into the rugged bums. Me personally, I live in Florida where it's hot year-round, so I wear sleeveless shirts and tank tops all the time. It allows me to show off my arms and shoulders, and the more skin I show, the less I worry about what I'm wearing being a factor. I mean, shit, most of my approaches were done on the beach for that reason. The main lesson of this chapter is that opening the conversation is all about merely presenting yourself as a safe person to speak with as you attempt to start an innocent conversation. This will not require much in terms of allurement. That comes later. Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book How to Talk to 9's and 10's by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/talk, where the book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/talk.